La emisión está comenzando. Todos los asistentes están en modo de solo escucha.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to this informative session organized by the Let's Lack regional platform and the regional collaboration centers from the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change in Panama and St. George's. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Ana Maria Majano. I'm the coordinator of the Secretariat for the Regional Platform for Latin America and the Caribbean on low emission resilient development strategies, Let's LAC. And I would like to thank our colleagues from the regional centers, Carlos Ruiz and Daniel Galvan, who are here with us this morning for us in Latin America, afternoon, evening if you are in some other region. And we will have a presentation, a short presentation by Carlos Ruiz Garbia, who is the team lead for the Regional Collaboration Centers in Panama and St. George's, on the Talanoa Dialogue and the opportunities of participation for society, academia, and business. So I would like to mention that Carlos will make a short presentation, and that after the presentation, we will ask the questions that you have. So please, in your control panel for the GoToMeetings platform or GoToWebinars, you have a space to write questions. If you have some questions while Carlos is making the presentation, please write them and I will read them after he has finished his introduction. So Carlos, thank you very much for this collaboration. Please, we are ready for your presentation. Yes.
Hello everyone, thank you to this webinar and thank you for the nice introduction. This is the Talanoa Dialogue, an opportunity for society, academy, and businesses to support climate action under the Paris Agreement. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers, Let's LAC, for putting this webinar together. My name is Carlos Ruiz Garvia, and I'm the coordinator of the Regional Collaboration Centers for Latin America and the Caribbean. And I would like to highlight that this is synchronized with the presentation in Spanish that was presented just a few minutes ago. This presentation is based on the high-level champions letter to non-party stakeholders, which has been published and can be found at the UNFCCC website. The link will be provided at the end of this presentation. I also would like to thank the support from our partners in the regional collaboration centers. Those are CAF and the Windward Island Research Education Foundation for Latin America and the Caribbean, respectively. Before going to the substance of the presentation, let me introduce briefly the Regional Collaboration Centers. You know that this is a network of regionally located offices currently present in different regions, particularly East and West Africa, also in Asia Pacific and Latin America and the Caribbean. And the purpose is to provide support on climate change matters to government, NGOs, private sector, and a variety of stakeholders that include, for example, multinational development organizations. In this slide, you see that the specific areas of support of the centers, those include capacity building, technical assistance, strategic networking, sourcing know-how, and also driving resource for clean development. It's important to recognize that after 5 years of experience, while the centers were originally established with the intention of providing on-the-ground support to increase particularly the regional distribution of the CDM projects, they have nowadays expanded their scope. This is one of the examples, this webinar, and this is in light of the outcomes of the Paris agreements. And we do cover a variety of additional activities, such as supporting the implementation of the national determined contribution under the PA. But more information is available on our website, so I invite you to go to the link and access to that information. Moving now to the topic of the webinar, let me introduce the Talanoa concept. This is a traditional word used by the Fijians and also used across the Pacific to reflect a process of inclusive, participatory, and transparent dialogue. The purpose of Talanoa is to share stories, build empathy, and also to make wise decisions for a collective outcome. In this case, applied to the climate change agenda. The process of Talanoa involves a sharing of ideas, skills, but also experience, again, using the storytelling approach. During this process, it is expected that the participants, those that submit and process the submissions, will build trust and advance knowledge through common understanding. So a key feature of this approach is that blaming others or making critical observations are deemed not to be consistent with the Talanoa concept. The COP mandated the Talanoa Dialogue at its previous session in Bonn last year and decided to convene a facilitative dialogue among parties in 2018 to take a stock of the collective efforts of parties in relation to the progress towards the long-term goal of the Paris Agreement, and consequently to inform the preparation of the nationally determined contributions. Hence, the dialogue ultimate goal is to promote, enhance ambition in the context of the Paris Agreement. As you can see in the next slide, the Talanoa Dialogue was launched in Bonn last year, and it's a year-long process that will consist of a preparatory and political phases. The preparatory phases will involve several mandated events and interactive processes, so I will explain you in detail some of them. It will start with the launching of the online platform, which was already launched 27 days ago, to be precise, and the purpose is to be the portal to process and facilitate the effective participation of party and non-party stakeholders in the dialogue. The platform is a portal through which all these stakeholders are able to make submissions along to the three overarching questions of the dialogue. These are very important questions that you need to keep in mind because they set the requirements for submissions under this dialogue. These questions are: where are we? Where do we want to go? And how do we get there? These questions provide a space for pre-2020 and post-2020 input and discussions in the context of the UNFCCC negotiations. Let me now elaborate a little bit on the suggested approach to organizing the dialogue in 2018. So this is a chronographical picture of the different events, and this is designed by the designated presidencies. Currently, we have Mr. Suriato and Mr. Chusko, high-level champions from Fiji and Poland for the COP23 and COP24 respectively. So they are leading this process. In the first part of the year, from January to April, the high-level champions encourage parties and non-party stakeholders to cooperate in convening local, national, regional, and global events in support of the dialogue. So stakeholders are invited to organize discussions around these three questions that I mentioned before. Just to remind you, these questions are where do we want to go and how do we get there. It is also strongly advised that the stakeholders inform the presidencies and the UNFCCC Secretariat of any event that you have in mind to advance the information so that we can make these events also available in the Talanoa Dialogue online platform in advance. Inputs could relate relevant studies and point of views in the form of documents, presentations, or videos. So there are different formats that are allowed here, and there are already few submissions available in the portal if you want to have a look. The deadline of submissions, as explained in this diagram, starts in the 2nd of April 2018, and any input received later to that deadline will still appear on the platform, but will not be part of the materials that the Secretariat will produce in time for the May sessions. During the May sessions, there will be the first opportunity for parties and non-party stakeholders to interact together and engage in the dialogue. It is expected that this process will be constructive, facilitative, transparent, and above all, it is expected that it will be solutions-oriented process to move the climate agenda forward. The proposed arrangements by the presidencies includes opening meetings, in-depth discussions of the three questions that I already mentioned, includes a report back meeting, and finally a closing meeting in a plenary setting at the May next sessions in Bonn this year. The opening and closing meetings will be conducted in accordance with the regular UNFCCC procedures and practices of plenary meetings. Now let me move to the next period in the diagram. So following the next sessions, and a special report by the IPCC on global warming of 1.6 Celsius degree requested by the COP will be provided to the dialogue. And finally, a formal summary of the procedural and substance of the dialogue during the sessions will be made available. And the second deadline for input is set as of 29 October 2018, as you see in this slide. The information and insights gained during the preparatory phase prior to COP24 will be a foundation for the political phase during the COP24, and documents will be made available from the presidencies during the COP. This is a very important slide for you to take into account because this reflects the expectations about your participation in the dialogue, and I would like to stress that the presidencies expect space for open, constructive, and respectful discussions, and they also call this opportunity to consider the substance under the three questions so that you can share your views and provide key messages to the as a feed to the political phase. The presidencies encourage everyone to reflect on how this process can proceed as to deliver on the mandates, but above all to achieve the ultimate goal, which is promoting its action. Parties and stakeholders are advised to be ready to contribute with some concrete ideas. Here are some examples. Expectations that you may have about the dialogue, provide your views on concrete progress and experiences since the Paris agreements enter into force. You may also consider efforts in relation to actions and support as appropriate. For example, in the pre-2020 period, initiatives to enhance cooperation on climate change, transformational solutions in line with the long-term temperature goal of the PA. And finally, as example, efforts to address climate change that you would like to disseminate, including visions for the future and means to achieve this vision. And finally, I'd like to echo the message from the presidencies in the website. They encourage you to work together with your peers to collectively produce inputs where a number of organizations and entities can convey collectively consensus message across stakeholder groups. They could be multi-sectoral, sectoral, regional approaches, and this is expected to receive a large number of submissions. So the presidency is also encouraged to be clear, concise, and actionable regarding your inputs. If you use research data or report sources of the information, may be highly appreciated. Finally, the presidency is also offered the opportunity to participate in local, national, and global events whenever possible, but they invite you to participate under the Marrakesh Partnership for Global Climate Action. So there was a webinar before about this platform, in particular through regional events and events related to technical expert meetings with the outcomes aligned based on the guidance that I provided before. So with this information, then I'm stand ready to answer any questions. And back to you, Ana Maria. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carlos. I would like to know if there are any questions. In this case, because we have a small number of participants in the English version, we can even open the microphone. If you have a question, you can raise your hand and I will open your microphone. Or you can write your question and I will read it to Carlos and Daniel. Are there any questions about the presentations, about the procedures and the opportunities to send contributions to the Talanoa Dialogue? So, Carlos, we still don't have any questions, but I would like to bring the issue that was raised during the Spanish informative session about the role of the focal points for the submissions, and recap what we discussed. That the understanding is that the submissions from national government entities have to be reviewed by the focal points that you are going to check with the bond team about subnational government submissions, but that civil society organizations and individuals can submit contributions directly through the online platform. Is that so? Is that a good recap?
Certainly, Ana Maria, thank you for recalling these inputs from the previous session. There was a lot of appetite regarding the role of focal points at a national level. The information that we have based on the corner of the presidency is that the groups of stakeholders that are party stakeholders, they need to go through the focal points, whereas the civil society, the non-party actors in this process, they can submit their proposals directly, right? So that was one of the clarifications that was provided at the previous intervention. I use the opportunity also to maybe to highlight that this is a very dynamic process. The dates of the events and also the key actors in the process are updated through the website. So please use the link that I'm provided through this presentation. So we just got the information that there is a new COP23 chief negotiator, the Ambassador Luke Danivalu from Fiji. So the information is provided in the website page. So be aware of these changes. Similarly to the upcoming sessions. So the dates will be provided next week, updated in the portal. I think maybe to recap on the previous session, we also received some questions on the sort or type of inputs that are expected. So the response to this is that based on the information from the corner of the presidencies, this is rather open. In one of the interventions by Ambassador from Fiji in a previous webinar, she was given examples that these submissions can be based on current project experiences from projects that are designed but not implemented, or they can be as broader as the challenges faced by the implementation of the Paris Agreement. So there is a variety of possibilities, and the platform allows for various means to present this proposal. So it's rather open, as long as they comply with the requirements, which are set by the 3 questions that I mentioned before.
Thank you, Carlos. I would like to thank Pavlina Zdraveva. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name right. Pavlina says that the presentation was excellent and very informative, and no questions at this moment, but as Carlos mentioned, if there are any questions, you can write directly to the colleagues, and also in the platform there are spaces where you can ask for more information. Also, Raisa Petri would like to know where is the link for all this information. If I understand that it was in one of the slides. If not, Carlos, if you could write it in the chat so that Raisa and the others can find the link. And also for the Latin America and the Caribbean countries, we are going to circulate a Q&A report, let's say, from the questions that needed some consultation with one to be answered. This is going to be in Spanish, together with the list of focal points for Latin America and the Caribbean. We can send that also in English to share the information also with the persons who are participating in this session. And you can see the link in the chat section. If you, I would like to know if you could you please write if you can see them in the chat, Raisa? That's the link. Okay, it's in the chat. Okay, thank you. So there you can have more information. If there are no more questions, then I would like to thank everyone for participating in this session. Thank you to our colleagues, Carlos Ruiz Galvia and Daniel Galvan from the Regional Collaboration Centers. Thank you for all the collaboration with the Let's Slack platform. for helping us fulfill our mission to be a space to share information and to foster collaborations towards a low emission resilient development in Latin America and the Caribbean. We hope that as the dialogue evolves, we will have more sessions to inform of the advances and of new opportunities. So, Carlos and Daniel, if you would like to have a final farewell word.
Thank you very much, Ana Maria. From my side, very satisfied with the outcomes of this session, and thank you all the participants for your engagement with this important initiative to engage some vision under the Paris Agreement. We look forward to the developments of the initiative, and they will be shared through our platforms in the UNFCCC Secretariat. Thank you very much again to Let's Lack for organizing this seminar, and it was a pleasure to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, and have a great day, everyone. Just wanted to let you know that the recording and the presentation of this session will be available on the webpage, on the Let's Lack webpage, so you can revisit and see the information again, or share with other colleagues who couldn't be connected to the session today. So thank you very much and have a great day.